What if the water you were drinking every day was contaminated and you didn't even know it? Well, that's exactly what happened to the residents of Flint, Michigan. Before becoming a mom, this is a topic that I probably never even would have given a second thought. But because I'm a mom, it's my job to ensure that my children are safe and healthy, and that I would never let them be exposed to something that could cause them harm. This is why water quality is so important to me. I want you to take a listen to what some of the Flint, Michigan residents have to say about the quality of their water.
I don't care how strong we are. See the children.
Can you hear it?
We're gonna break this one right now. We don't have any fresh clean water in this plant at this current time. The water
April is going to turn 2 years. In my household, there's a total of 6. So for all of us to bathe by water, you kind of have to ration out water. Sometimes it breaks my spirit. You know, you try to keep your kids away from things that are harmful for them, and then they can go in the kitchen or the bathroom and turn on to boil.
They're saying 15 years. What are we going to do for those 15 years?
We need to continue to have the spotlight shine on this story because we need some long-term solutions.
Like right now, talking to you. I'm ready to cry, but I'm holding you. They need to fix it.
We need action now. This is the most important work we are ever called to do, to reach out in every way we can, lend that helping hand to every single person.
Just project it in the bottom,
In the bottom?
just so we can see it bigger. All right,
I don't
go.
know.
I'll do it, go.
Between April 2014 and October 2015, around 99,000 Flint, Michigan residents were affected by the water source switch from Lake Huron, Detroit into the Flint, Michigan River. It was the corrosiveness of the Flint, Michigan River that caused their metal water piping to corrode. As a result of this, the lead was then dissolved into their public water supply. Oh, wait. This is a picture. The Virginia Tech did a water contamination study in 2015, and this shows the lead concentration difference between Detroit and Flint, Michigan, and then where there's a cause for concern. It shows 2.3 parts per billion of lead concentration in Detroit versus 27 parts per billion in Flint, Michigan. And 5 parts per billion is where there's a cause for concern. Parts per billion basically means, for example, 5 parts of lead in 1 billion parts of water. The crisis that happened in Flint, Michigan can happen anywhere, and that's why it's important to know the cause of the pipe corrosion, the potential problems that could occur because of it, and how to prevent it from happening where you live. The result of Flint, Michigan's pipe corrosion was caused by an untreated water source. It could have been treated with an anti-corrosive agent. However, pipe corrosion can be caused by different things. This is a picture here of pipe corrosion. Clearly, pipe corrosion can cause simple problems like a leak in your house, but they can also cause problems with the water quality, which then leads to health problems. Once lead is ingested, it can lead to severe health problems, and it's especially dangerous in expecting mothers, children, infants. Here's a picture of a child having his lead tested in Flint, Michigan. The CDC discovered that there was an increase in lead exposure in children 6 and under, and the lead levels increased significantly in Flint after the water switch. The problem with lead exposure is that, especially in children, is that it causes problems with their growth and development because they're not done growing. But this can also, it'll also lead to learning problems and behavior difficulties because of that. Adults can also be affected by lead exposure. It can lead to kidney damage, high blood pressure, seizures, just to name a few. The effects of lead exposure can be lifelong, irreversible, and can even be fatal. Like I mentioned in my original informative speech, that water that has a low pH level is acidic. Acidic water can actually cause pipe corrosion. But pipe corrosion can also be caused by bacteria, different chemicals, even high flow rate of water can cause pipe corrosion. This here is a picture of a corroded sink valve. So not only can pipe corrosion happen in your public water transportation system, it also happens in your home. I told a story in my informative speech about the science project that I did with my son, where we tested the different pH levels of brand water, different brand waters, and we also tested our home tap water. Drinking water is supposed to have a pH level of 6.5 to 8.5. Our home tap water was 4.2, which is acidic. And 60% of the class has never tested the pH of their water. And this is why it's important to test the pH of your water, because I didn't know how acidic my own water was before I tested it. This picture is a picture of obviously contaminated water in Flint. However, you don't always see contaminated water. Sometimes, I mean, you can't tell how high or low the pH level is when you turn on your faucet. You can't see certain bacteria or chemicals. And that's why I stress the importance of testing your own water at home. An alternative to metal piping would be PVC piping, plastic piping like this here, which obviously couldn't corrode, but there are disadvantages to it as well. Overall, it's a cheaper alternative to maintain. However, it would cost money to replace all of the metal piping with this PVC piping. So initially, it would be costly. But if it was replaced with the PVC piping, it can handle like extreme temperatures if water is too hot or too cold. The hot water can cause it to warp, which would need replacement. And in the winter months, if the water was too cold, it could cause the pipes to freeze and split, therefore would need to be replaced. So in my opinion, I suggest to be proactive by testing your own water and knowing the quality of it, knowing the pH level, knowing if there's bacteria or toxins like the lead, like in Flint. It took 9 months of Flint, Michigan residents of complaining of the color and the odor and the taste of their water before they were made aware of the water quality problem that was going on. I wouldn't want that happening to me. So I think that if you take the proactive approach by knowing what's in your water, that this would never happen to you. In conclusion, acidic water can lead to pipe corrosion, which then leads to health problems. That's why it's important to take action into your own hands by testing your own water at home. Thank you.
Good job.